Is your mic on?
I think it is now. All right. Good evening, everybody. It is 6 p.m., so I will start tonight's public hearing. I'm going to introduce myself real quick, and then we'll get into the one case we have tonight. So my name is Carl Granrath, and I'm the hearing examiner this evening. And the purpose of tonight's hearing is to allow me to receive evidence and testimony on the matters that are pending. So I will make a recommendation to the county commissioners, and I do not make the final decision. So I'll be submitting my recommendation to staff within 2 weeks of tonight's hearing, and then the application will be scheduled for deliberations before the county commissioners before they make their final decision. So if we do end up with anybody from the public who joins on Zoom to give public comment, there's nobody here to give live testimony. But if you're on Zoom and you're listening, I'll let you know when your chance to speak is. And when you do, I just ask that you state your name and your address for the record, and that you direct any testimony you may have towards me, and not the applicant or any members of the staff. So first of all, when we get into this, we'll have the staff introduce the application. Then we'll hear from the applicant, and after the applicant's initial testimony is when the public will have an opportunity to comment. So after the staff presents, the applicant has up to 30 minutes for their presentation, and any member of the public has up to 5 minutes. And if there are any members of the public who comment, the applicant has 15 minutes to rebut any testimony or comments from the public. So with that, I will get us into tonight's case, and that is case number Variance 20-0013. And I believe we have Zach Trevino, who will be presenting for the staff tonight. So Zach, go ahead.
Good evening, Planner Zach Trevino for the record, presenting case number VAR 20-0013. And this is a request for a variance to the rear yard setback requirement with the applicants Brian and Lisa Jordan present here tonight on Zoom. This is a request for a 10-foot variance to the rear yard setback to enable a structure to be located 15 feet from the rear property line. The subject parcel is located along the west side of Coeur d'Alene Lake at Kid Island Bay. It's a residential neighborhood approximately 2.5–3 miles from Coeur d'Alene as the crow flies. You can see here on the map where the project site is located. This is an aerial view of the neighborhood, and it's a sloped shoreline neighborhood, heavily treed. Kid Island Road is a public road that accesses the neighborhood. Kid Island Bay is the body of water, and the subject property is located between Kid Island Road and Boyden Loop. It is a double frontage lot, as you see here, with public rights-of-way on both sides, the front and the rear. And the lot is platted. It is approximately 5,400 square feet, which is quite small, and it is undeveloped. There is no structure present on site. There is a well on site, and I'll get into the relevance of the well's location a little later on, as that is one of the reasons that prompted the variance request. Important to note, Kid Island Road is maintained by the Highway District, Worley Highway District, whereas Boyden Loop is a privately maintained road, but it is within a public right-of-way, and that public right-of-way is going to be what is the subject of the variance measurement. The parcel is located in the Agricultural Suburban zone. Perhaps a relevant aspect of this is that currently the minimum lot size in the Agricultural Suburban zone is 2 acres. This lot was created prior to that minimum lot size taking effect, and so if lots were being created today in the zone, they couldn't be this size. The entire surrounding area is also agricultural suburban, and the proposed structure that this variance request pertains to is a single-family residence with a rear deck. It's going to have an attached garage, and it would be located on the lot so that it would gain access off of Kid Island Road. There already is a driveway in place. There's a photo of that coming up. But importantly, for purposes of the variance request, the applicant cites a number of things as undue hardship. And for purposes of the analysis related to code, there are a few of those reasons that seem especially relevant. One is lot size. As mentioned, the lot's 5,400 square feet. With setbacks applied, the buildable area is quite small, and so one is limited in that sense. As well as the slope of the lot, it averages 23% slope between Kid Island Road and Boysen Loop. There's some variation, with perhaps the steepest portions of the lot immediately at the terminus of the driveway, and then closer to the northern edge of the lot near Boysen Loop. In addition to that, the well location is relevant. The well is located approximately 26 feet from the front property line. It was drilled in 2020, and the applicant drilled that well after consulting a number of agencies. They reached out to the Idaho Department of Water Resources to get some advice on the placement of the well. And one of the things that IDWR suggested was that the structure be located at least 10 feet from the well in order to enable future expansion of the well, meaning drilling deeper if necessary. Whereas IDWR does not require that new structures be located a certain distance from existing wells, they do have regulations for new wells that are applicable when a well is being expanded. So if the structure were in place today and they were drilling a well, IDWR would require that well to be 10 feet away from the structure. Since the well is there first, there is no distance requirement, although if they were gonna need to drill that deeper, they would wanna be a distance away. So that is one of the main reasons that prompted this request, and one of the reasons that the applicant is claiming undue hardship. And so those factors are kind of a combination of things to consider. The one other aspect that's worth noting that I think the applicant will go into in greater detail is an adjacent structure that does not adhere to setback requirements. The structure was issued a certificate of occupancy, but is located approximately 4 feet from their property line on the north corner, and you can see that here in the site plan. The structure there. Whereas staff doesn't feel that that is a reason for undue hardship, given that it was in place when the lot was purchased, it's worth mentioning as part of just the reason for the variance application. Now, this is just an overview of the structure that's being proposed. It would be a 2-story structure. The deck is the relevant portion that is going to be encroaching into setbacks, and this rear deck looks like you see in the upper right and bottom right corners of this diagram. Due to the slope of the lot, of course, it would be significantly elevated above grade. These are some photos of the building site. The top right shows the building site standing from the driveway, one side of the driveway, looking down the slope towards Boysen Loop. The top left shows marked on the ground the difference between where the setback requirement is in the pink, and then in the green, where the deck would be located. You can see also the red truck there, that is parked on Boysen Loop, just for a frame point of reference. Bottom left is the driveway to the residence, which is already in place from Kid Island Road. And then the bottom right is looking up at the lot from Boysen Loop. This structure that you see here is the neighboring structure. And this white dog igloo here is approximately where the corner of this residence that is being proposed, it will be located. As you can see, it's significantly sloped in the right-of-way, and so Boysen Loop is elevated far below where the structure would be, approximately 15 feet or so. Agencies were consulted. No objections were raised from the Highway District or the Fire District. Kid Island Sewer District is requiring a septic tank, and the applicant has shown that on the site plan. The building division will, of course, require standard building permit requirements, and one of the suggested conditions in the staff report is that a geotechnical analysis and a site disturbance plan prepared by a design professional be submitted. Additionally, it is worth mentioning, kind of going back to the well, the Kidd Island Water Association serves this neighborhood. However, they were unable to serve the applicant's lot, and that is why the well was drilled in the first place, was to obtain water in absence of being able to connect to that water association. Public comments were received, 4 of them, 3 in support, 1 in opposition. The comment in opposition did not give a reason as to why they are opposed, and so that is unclear at this time. Considering these factors, staff feels that the request is a reasonable request. A few things to consider regarding the location of the proposed structure. Although the deck would be located 15 feet from the edge of the Boys and Loop right-of-way, it would be located approximately 45 feet from the actual road surface. And as you saw in those photos, the road surface is elevated significantly below, and so there wouldn't be any expansion of the road in the future that would allow it to be significantly closer to the structure. Small lot size is a significant factor with that square footage as it is, 5,400 square feet. The buildable area truly is limited. Furthermore, staff does recommend that if the variance is granted, the applicant prepare a geotechnical analysis and site disturbance plan, which would likely be required anyways as part of the building process, given that the lot has slopes of 23% on average. But with that, there doesn't seem to be any negative impact to public rights-of-way or adjacent properties, and therefore the request seems to meet the required findings for a variance. And I do stand for any questions you have. I can go into greater detail if you wish, but I'll leave it there for now.
I think I was getting the feedback on my mic, so I turned it off there for a second. Very thorough presentation, Zach. Answered most of the questions I had for you ahead of time. And I think I see the answer to the last one I was going to have for you, and that's the location of the septic. Is that what I see right there? Okay.
That is correct. It would be located in the north corner, just about maybe 4 or 5 feet from the deck. Okay.
That was the only question I had for you, so thank you very much, Zach. And with that, I will open it up for the applicant.
And Brian and Lisa, I have your PowerPoint here. I can share it, or if you would like to screen share it, you're welcome to do that as well. Either way you prefer.
If you can share it, I guess. I don't know if I'm that talented.
Cue it up here. And I'll let you go through it, but just let me know as you're going through it when you want me to go to the next page.
Perfect, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Probably should have started with the second slide because it introduces myself. But I'm Lisa Jordan. My husband's on here, Brian Jordan. I think it's important just to say who are we and why are we here. So I'm born and raised in Idaho and lived in Kootenai for many years, but grew up in Wallace. Visited my grandfather's house on Lake Kootenai, Beauty Bay, during my time growing up. And so it's definitely a special place for me, Lake Kootenai. We were very excited when we came upon this piece of land with the goal, of course, building a house that we hope to retire in. We live in kind of the outskirts of the Seattle market right now in a rural area, Ravensdale. My husband is a police officer, City of Renton, as you can see here. He went to Gonzaga, so we both love the area over there and spend a lot of time there. We have 2 kids, 16 and 10, and my husband felt the need to say 2 crazy dogs because they are kind of crazy. Anyway, we love Kootenai, and we hope that we get to build our dream home, and we hope to retire there. And we appreciate you guys taking your time tonight to hear what we're requesting regarding the variance. So Zach touched on a lot of the items. But just to, I guess, reiterate, of course, anytime in building, the need for water access is obviously a high priority. Without water, the house is uninhabitable. So, like he had mentioned, we purchased the lot, and I'll scooch down here a little bit further because these are some of these are photos he's already shown you. So I think I'll just kind of go to my bullet points of, what's important as far as the land and the water, etc. So when we went under contract, there was the thought that we had access to the Kid Island well system, and then we received, excuse me, the title for that. I'm joking. I need water. Sorry. I guess I haven't talked today. My husband might need to step in. Excuse me. So okay, I gotta get water. Or my husband's gonna have to step in. Or he's gonna bring me water. Anyway, we had the thought that we were able to access their water. And then we got the title to the home. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I'm like joking. I haven't talked all day.
It's quite all right. Take your time.
Okay. Now I'm back. Okay, so then we got the title report to the house before we closed, which also indicated that we had water, which we were very excited, meaning that the prior owner had paid into water rights for our land, right? Well, come to find out in the middle of it, which again was understandable for us, is that it was an oversight on the seller. The water rights for our lot should have been transferred to another lot. So honestly, we agreed to allow him, obviously, his opportunity to transfer the water rights from our lot to another lot. Because we felt that that was fair, right? It was a complete oversight. We're fair individuals and we wanted to be fair to him. So we lost then our water rights to our lot. After the transaction closed, knowing that we had to get water, we knew that the two options were to try to connect to the community well or drill our own well. So we did approach and formally submitted a request to Kid Island Water District in the effort to connect to the community well, and it was denied due to the number of people that were already connected on the well. So of course, needing water, we then drilled a well. Using the assumption that we could obviously build a structure that would last 100 years, if you will. The potential of having to drill deeper for water access in that time period, we have to plan for that. We have to plan that could potentially happen, right? So per our well driller, he said that we should absolutely assume and believe that it's realistic that in the future we would have to drill deeper, okay? So we drilled the well, and the well is in place. And then, of course, to allow the well to be drilled deeper and to comply with the Idaho Department of Water Resources and the recommended setback of 10 feet from the well, we're requesting the variance strictly for the deck in front of the house. And as mentioned, obviously, without water, the residence would be uninhabitable. I think Zach did a really good job of pointing out where the well lays on land, where the setbacks are, where the deck is. So I guess I won't go into that any further. The undue hardship, I guess, in our perspective, is that the size of the lot itself, and of course it being sloped, and that allows for limited building space, as well as limited exterior space, meaning yard. So there will not be any yard of any sort. So the only outside access will be what we hope to be this deck on the back side, the Boyce Loop side of the house. Knowing going into it that the lot was small, we made every effort and have redesigned the house many, many times to get to our end product, which at this point we consider it to be hopefully the end product, but for it to be a functional house with a good layout that functions as a typical house should, size-wise, and then also obviously for our needs. So we definitely took into account the size of the yard. If the variance is denied, of course, the house will have to be reduced by 10 feet, which would greatly impact the functionality of the home, to the point where I'm not even sure where to begin if we had to reduce it, because you have to have a functioning kitchen and a living room, if nothing else, and it would greatly cut into that. So those are kind of some of our undue hardships. My husband has been a real significant, he's been handling all of these details. And so I'm gonna just ask that he kind of, step in here and mention some of the things that he also is aware of and would like to share. Oh, we hear you? We can't hear you. Unmute. There you go.
Okay, sorry guys.
Yeah.
Thanks again for allowing us this opportunity to explain our variance request. And I think Zach and Lisa have done a really great job of explaining it. Yeah, I mean, really, for me, everything stems from having the well and having the ability to drill the well deeper. And according to our well driller, that's a pretty realistic possibility over the next 30 to 50 years. So if we're not able to have the variance and have the 10 feet needed or recommended by IDWR, then really the rest of the house is affected, because the resulting structure, we're still going to put it 10 feet off the well, knowing that we'll probably need to drill the well a little deeper. But that then encumbers the house size, and then the lot size and the slope. So everything kind of plays off of having the ability to drill the well a lot deeper. So I guess
If I mention just at the same note, sorry Brian, to interrupt. You know, the thing about the well and drilling it deeper is that if the structure is over the well, let's just say, or not enough distance from the well digger, or the gentleman that digs the well, I guess, I'm not sure what the terms are, he just said that it would really, the way that, obviously the size of the machine that they need to just drill the well is so vast that the chance, you know, like, that's where he was like, it just won't be able to happen, because there's not enough room because of the size of the machine required to dig the well deeper, if you will. So I just want to mention that, because he had talked about that being a really big deal as far as the size of the machine that is required.
I think if you want to go into the slope, Zach, just the slope side, if you could, the slope bullet points.
You want me to go over this?
We're already on slope, sorry. Yeah, I can do it. Zach mentioned it's got a 23% slope going northeast from Kid Island Road up to Boyson Loop. There is a flatter part, and there's another slide just after this, that if the 10-foot variance is approved, I think it's one more down. Thanks, Zach. It really allows us to kind of take advantage of that flatter building area. And as Zach mentioned, even with, you know, the deck being 10 feet, that's what's really, the setback's going to be, the new setback, proposed setback, is going to be based off of. There's still going to be 45 feet from the Boyson Loop right away. And as Zach mentioned, the possibility of the road being widened seems pretty slim, and then us being able to build on it due to the slope it's not going to be really possible. So the only outdoor living area is going to be our deck, and that's going to be right over that flatter building area. So. And then I think that's it for the undue hardship. The last one we want to mention is the house. And I understand where the county standpoint in this, and I totally get it. You know, the house is only 4 feet from our eastern or southeastern property line. You know, going into it, we didn't have the survey done until after we purchased the land, so we didn't really quite get a grasp of just how close that house was until you know, we got our official survey done. And so I think one of the issues for us is if we have to adhere to that 25-foot setback, in addition to just being on top of the well, it also brings us that much closer to that house, which increases fire risk. It also decreases both, both homeowner's ability to use that area. I know from his standpoint, from my neighbor's standpoint, he's got zero ability. No, there's no yard over there anymore because we're going to build. And then for us, there's 6 feet closer to his lot than we really are comfortable with. As Lisa mentioned, we live in a rural area now. We like to respect our neighbors' privacy, and so by allowing us that 10 feet, it just allows us a little bit more space in an already, as mentioned, tight lot. So by allowing us that 10-foot variance, it decreases the fire hazard. It allows both parties to feel comfortable fully utilizing their side yards. And then also, I know this isn't necessarily an undue hardship, but having houses that close does decrease home value and street appeal and marketability if we were ever to sell it in the future. So I just wanted to touch upon that. I know it's not an official undue hardship, but I thought it was worth mentioning. I think that's it for that one. And you can just see Dak had a good overview with the plat map, but I just did an overview there. You can see where his our southeastern corner kind of it's really, really close.
I might mention on this one just to point out, so there's the existing structure, and then there's ours that's in the green, and then there's another house that's being built to the far left. In between is a vacant lot that was recently also purchased that they are also going to build. So it's going to be a pretty tightly packed street as it is. I think that the goal is to, first of all, respect the gentleman that's current structure that's been there, out of respect for him, and their property that's been there a lot longer than all of us. To try, if I said all three of us, the three that are building, could, be respectful on how we place our house so that everybody has kind of a functioning, usable area with as much privacy as I guess you could get in such a small lot. I just thought I'd mention that in between somebody else's building.
I think that's it for that. Zach went over this, but I'll make mention of it. You can see the deck is really what we're asking for. That's where the 10-foot setback comes into play to allow us to really have an outdoor living space to enjoy the beautiful lake views. And so and still will be 45 feet from Boyson Loop as mentioned, and then there's also that yellow star there is where the wellhead is in relation to the proposed structure. So the well would be placed in the driveway with a traffic rated plate over it. It's, according to our well driller, pretty commonplace. So that slide. I don't know, you want to wrap this up, Lisa, or do you want me to?
I guess just Zach, you did a great job presenting all the facts of the matter, and obviously from our perspective, it's literally just the need for water and planning for a long-term access to the water, whether it's our ownership or somebody else's in the future. The chances of having to dig the well deeper are pretty good in, let's just say, 100-year time period, right? So it's planning for the future of that house that will be built on that property, so that it's always habitable. And we're not asking to increase the footprint, we're just asking for a deck, if you will. So if that, I guess, helps lean towards us, we're not asking to expand the footprint of the house.
Yeah, and oh, go ahead.
Oh, there we are.
I had mentioned it, but everything without the 10 feet kind of exasperates the slope and the lot size and the neighboring property infringement. So you kind of, for lack of a better term, kill a bunch of birds with one variance approval if we're able to get this done. So you can go on to the last slide, Zach.
Oh, that's us.
That's us on Lake Coeur d'Alene. Anyway, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I got nothing, I don't know if Lisa has anything else, but I have nothing else to add. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation as well. Just one quick question for you. What's the approximate finished square footage of your current planned building?
2,500.
Well, by level though, it's, the first floor is, the footprint is what? 9?
Yeah, so the footprint is 30 wide by 48 deep. With the deck, it's 30 by 58.
All right, thank you. That's the only question I had for you.
Okay.
So with that, let's get the time. It is 6:31. I don't see we've had any members of the public join for comment. So at 6:31, then I will bring this public hearing to a close. And just again to reiterate, I will be making my written recommendation, submitted it to the county staff, who will forward it to the county commissioners, who will be making your final decision. So thank you very much.